on the subject of feminism, radical feminism. I'm gonna put this, I'm gonna hover with this a little bit. I'm going to actually put radical feminism in the cringe tier. Radical feminism, this label specifically, again, I think it's worse than liberal feminism. And the reason for that, again, it is not this word down here, it is the combination of these two words, radical feminism. Now, at the surface level, being radical and being a feminist, there is nothing wrong with either of those things. Being a radical feminist, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that if your beliefs could be described as radical and feminist. But if you call yourself a rad fem, you might as well be Hitler. The only reason I put them there is because of how little influence they have and how big of a fool they make themselves out to be. There is no group of people more transphobic and biphobic on the whole fucking internet than rad fems. What does that mean? People who use the label of radical feminist are neither radical nor feminist. And thus the ideology has come to represent that. Because most real feminist ideas and ideology has come to diverge from radical feminism. This is a product of the second wave feminists in the 1960s and 70s, right at the genesis of like intersectional politics. I like being called radical. I don't like calling myself radical. Yeah, that's kind of gets at the difference that I'm talking about. If you asked people their opinions on some stuff, you could easily come to the conclusion that, wow, a lot of people are radicals. But there's a difference between having ideas that are pretty radical and just believing them on principle and stuff, and calling yourself a radical something or other, right? It's like this, the reason I'm putting this here is because of the political label that this ideology is associated with and how it has come to reflect that label in the people that call themselves that. You know, like I said, radical feminists, most transphobic and biphobic pieces of shit you will ever see on the internet, at least those that call themselves that. You know, with some nice misandry motivating both of those. You know? But fundamentally, feminism, pretty alright. Maybe not oftentimes by name. People, you know, do get this twisted very, very frequently. But, you know. These people are fucking cringe, and they are traitors to the feminist movement throughout history. In fact, a lot of these people will argue conservative lines under the guise of hating men. The liberal feminists and the radical feminists combining forces into one fusion from Dragon Ball create every single negative feminist stereotype you have ever seen. A lot of them are patently ridiculous, but they do exist in the form of probably somebody within these camps, right? These are like the legitimately man-hating people. And like biphobic, transphobic, like I said. Hello, Editing Y2K here. This is just one part of a multi-part series of me ranking all the ideologies that I know enough about to comment on. It took place over the course of 2 live streams earlier in the year, and the other parts will be all available on a playlist if you're interested. Please check it out, and thank you for watching.